Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. It's your tutor, Disha. I'm here today to boost your readiness for the upcoming CAPE Communication Studies Paper 1 examination. We are on our final leg, and I just want to say congratulations to you for shutting up the paper 2, and I know you're gonna do the same thing for the paper 1 on Wednesday. Now, some of you might be saying, Miss, why put out this video 2 days to the examination? Well, if you have been following DOA's platform, you would have known that our communication studies webinar began all the way back in March. Yes, we were on a mission to connect the disengaged communication studies students in the Caribbean to a platform that helps students prepare holistically for the examination. So shout out to you if you have been with us from March, and shout out to some of DOA's amazing enrolled CAPE Communication Studies students. Yes, big up on yourself. I'm proud of you, and I'm expecting those grade 1s. All right, what am I going to do today? I am going to be sharing with you some really important examination tips that you need to consider doing for your examination. I'll be walking you through what to expect for the listening section, the research section, the Creole section, and the communication section. All right, so let's start with boosting your readiness for the listening section. Now, here's how to ace the listening section and the exam overall. First thing I want you to do is to shift your mindset. Yes, I want you to do this now. Shift your mindset. I want you to start thinking positive. I've been getting the DMs, I've been getting the messages from students. Miss, can you help me? Miss, I don't think I'm gonna do well. Miss, this not work. Miss, me not pass. Miss, my teacher not do nothing for help me the entire school year. Me give up. No, that ends today. I want you to let go of the past. Just let it go. We don't care about what the teachers did or what the teachers did not do. We're letting go of that. And we are gonna now become excited for the exam on Wednesday. Yes, I want you to start mastering your self-talk. I can pass. I will do this. I will come out with a grade 1. This is a breeze for me. So become optimistic. Yes, I also want you to let go of the bad habits. So if you have been previously procrastinating, that ends right now. I want you to put away your phones, to turn off the TV, put away the game consoles, turn off the social media notifications. I just want you to do that for the next 2 days, because your paper 1 marks are just as important as the paper 2 marks. So I want you to do that right now. The next thing I want you to do is to start practicing. I want you to watch the news report for tonight, the news report for tomorrow. And in doing so, I want you to listen to the main point of the report. Not only the television reports, but what about the radio report? Better yet, you can find some short stories and some poems online, and you can ask mommy, daddy, brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend to read them to you while you listen. And you listen for the main point, purpose, or the main idea, and listen for any literary devices. Next thing I need you to do is to brush up on those literary devices for the listening section. I know for some of you guys that area wasn't so strong in the paper 2, right? You were on the webinars, you were asking me, Miss, what is a metaphor? What is a personification? What is imagery? What is sarcasm? I want you to brush up on them. So I have a document with all of them combined together. If you need it, just send me a DM. I'll send it to you. And you need to know what each of them mean. So when you hear an extract, you will recognize the relevant literary devices. Next thing, for the listening section, don't write. I know this is going to be a hard thing for you to do, and it's okay if you do it. But if you're going to do it, just do it in the second reading. Try not to write in the first hearing. For the first hearing, I just want you to close your eyes and focus on what the reader is saying. All right, guys, so now I'm going to be doing a mini exam simulation. I'll be reading 2 poems to you. The first one, you're going to listen to me, pause the video, and see if you can come up with the main point or idea. Then I'm going to read a second poem to you. I'm going to also pause the video and see if you can come up with any literary devices heard. All right, let's go. Because I could not stop for debt, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. He passed the school where children strove. At recess in the ring, we passed the fields of gazing green. We passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering the chill. For only summer my groan, the tippet only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling off the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, it's centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were towards eternity. End. All right, pause the video, think about it. If you need to play it over, you skip back and play it over. Try to come up with the main idea of this poem. The initiating sentence said, because I could not stop for debt, he kindly stopped for me. You also heard about horses' heads were towards eternity, right? So right about there, you should be thinking about debt and afterlife. So we would say the main idea of the poem was to narrate the speaker's death and what happened immediately in the afterlife. All right, so let's move on to our second activity. This is another poem, but I don't want you to listen to the main point or the main idea, which you can low-key do, but I want you to listen for any literary devices. Let's go. We Africans came to Berlin to sing and recite poetry. We had an agenda, remembering our anthems of loss, galloping, consuming, the pillage, the cries, like forest fires, like haunted children. How can we even begin to redress? Enraged, we want revenge, and then Chiwanis. You stepped on the stage and you opened your mouth, and every stolen river of platinum and gold poured out of your mouth in song. Your voice etched us out of the night and doubled the light in each of us. You restoreth the treasure houses from Benin to Zimbabwe, Mapungubwe to Cairo. Africa moved its golden bones, shook off its heavy chains, and danced again. That night, I thought if only love could purchase bread, Africans would not be hungry. End. Pause the video. If you have to skip back, that's okay. Think about it. Did you heard any literary devices? The first thing that should come to your mind is the use of similes. Recall, he had an agenda, remembering our anthems of loss, galloping, consuming, the pillage, the cries, like forest fires, like haunted children. What else did you hear? Imagery, right? What is imagery again? The use of descriptive writing that appeals to the senses. Recall, Waniso, you stepped out on the stage and you opened your mouth, and every stolen river of platinum and gold poured out of your mouth in song. The MCQ might even ask you for the tone. Could you infer the tone of the poem just now? Well, initially, the tone was sad. And then, as the poem concluded, the tone was a bit joyful. I would say the tone here is mixed. Now you get the gist of what to expect in the listening section. Let's now move to the research section. So before attempting the research questions in the multiple choice, I want you to ensure that you know how to distinguish between primary and secondary sources. We know that a primary source gives us first-hand or direct access to information on the subject of our research, right? And then for secondary sources, they provide second-hand information. I also want you to revisit and familiarize yourself with the methods of data collection because they will test you on the appropriateness of these data collection methods depending on the scenario that they gave you. They might give you a scenario and you need to infer which one is best, whether it's interview, whether it's observation, whether it's questionnaire. That's a pro. And right under that topic, I also want you to know the advantages and disadvantages of these data collection methods. Because, yes, it's another trend. After you select the data collection method, they might proceed to ask you what would be an advantage of using, for example, a questionnaire. What would be an advantage of using a interview. Also want you to revisit some terms. Yes, if you haven't done so, I want you to go back to the textbook. If you don't have a textbook, then just DM me. I'll help you out with learning these words. Reliability, validity, accuracy, credibility, subjectivity. Let's practice some research questions. Let me start with the 2020 paper. I hope you can see it. So this spans from questions 11 to 15. It says, at a recent meeting with the principal of Mansfield High School, the Ministry of Education revealed that a check of the most recent census documents show that some senior students of the school have been irregularly attending classes. The ministry decides to hire a research company to investigate the likely reasons for students' irregular attendance. Firstly, which of the following sources could provide the most useful information to help the researchers to identify the sample? See what I'm saying? They're asking you here for the most useful information. What is the primary source here? A says form teacher, B says class registers, C says class monitors, and D, students' report cards. Form teachers, do you think they would provide the most useful information to help the researchers to identify the sample? Definitely not. I'm a form teacher. I visit my form classes in the morning to take the attendance and in the afternoon to also take the attendance. That's only for my form class. How is that related to the senior students? Similarly for class monitors, if I only include information from them, then the research could be biased. And D is strictly eliminated here. So the best answer for this is class registers. Number 12, which of the following must the research company consider when selecting a sample? We're seeing A, accuracy of the census documents, the average number of respondents, how well the population is represented, and how knowledgeable the respondents are. Remember, we hired a research company to investigate the likely reasons for students' irregular attendance. The census is already accurate, so the average number of respondents as well as how knowledgeable the respondents are unimportant here. The best answer here for the research company is to ensure that the population is well represented. 13 here says, if the research company used observation as a method of collecting data, which of the following could be an advantage? See what I'm saying? You need to know about your advantages and disadvantages, the various methods of data collection. Look at the answer choices. Predicting the behavior to be observed, directly witnessing the behavior of participants, spending an extended period of time collecting data, participants changing their behavior while being observed. The answer here is directly witnessing the behavior of participants. 14 says, if the research company only collected data in the morning, which of the following could adversely affect the validity of the result? Adequacy of the data? Definitely. The research company would want to ensure that they collect a reasonable amount of information or data to help them to come up with the reason as to why students are attending class irregularly. All three could adversely affect the validity of the results. 15. Which of the following is the most likely population for this study? What did the scenario said? It said that hire a research company to investigate the likely reasons for students' irregular attendance. But the census showed senior students. So are you going to take into consideration everyone here? B, senior students of Mansfield High School who attend classes irregularly. E, students of secondary schools in the country who attend classes irregularly. Nope. Senior students of secondary schools in the country who attend classes irregularly. The answer here is senior students of Mansfield High School who attend classes irregularly. Let's continue practicing. This is from 2017. It says, the media is filled with reports of teenagers being distracted by digital technology and that preoccupation is affecting their schoolwork. Haldane, a sociology student, decides to investigate this phenomenon at a school which is located in the countryside. He intends to use interviews to collect data. Let's do the corresponding questions to this. Which of the following activities would Haldane need to undertake as part of his research? 1 says talking to parents and teachers. 2, finding out how many students own digital devices. 3, choosing a sample that is representative of a school's population. So I would go for D. Which of the following would be an advantage if Haldane conducted interview? Again, you see, you want to know your advantages and disadvantages of your data collection methods. So costliness of the procedure, this wouldn't be an advantage, it would be a disadvantage. B, wide geographic coverage of informants. This is so out. Interview sessions are not so easy to set up. C, high reliability of the information to be collected. Definitely not. With a one-on-one interview between you and the interviewee, I'm pretty sure that some bias can come up there. And then D says in-depth nature of the information to be collected. That's your winning answer there. Haldane found an article entitled Modern Technology Causing Canadian Students to Fail. This article could be useful to his research as it is secondary data. Why would it be unacceptable for Haldane to apply the findings of his research to all teenagers? Recall, Haldane, who is a sociology student, he decides to investigate the phenomenon of students being distracted by digital technology at his school, which is located in the countryside. So it would be unacceptable to apply the findings to all teenagers because population is only students from his school. Let's now move on to the Creole section. I call it the Creole section because we tend to get a lot of Creole questions from year to year, but it's really under language and community. So the first thing that I need you to revisit is the Caribbean language situation, right? So we said the basilic would be the speakers who are speaking Creole. The acrolect would be those who are speaking the standard language, right? And the mesolect would be the mixture between the two. I want you to focus on Creole. Focus on the characteristics of Creole. Focus on the grammar, the sound units, the vocabularies. Let's start with the 2020 paper. If a speaker changes his language use between Caribbean Standard English and Creole English during a conversation, he would be engaging in, right here, they're asking you about the features of Creole. This is called code switching. So the Caribbean Creole speaker, they tend to use more than one language variety during a conversation or even within a sentence. Yeah, you have to know all of them, all of the features of Creole. So you see that? I just code switched. Which of the following Creole features is evident in the structure? Tangle up with his words and his feelings. They're testing you to see if you know about your grammatical features of Creole. Here, this is unmarked tense. 16 to 18, it says, read the following dialogue carefully and then answer items 16 to 18. Paul, good morning, everyone. How are you today? Samantha, my good Paul, although my foot bottom at me. Brian, me not feel good because Paul ever try chat itty-tighty, speaky-spokey, and we are me not like it. Paul, Brian, I don't understand. We are all educated, so we should be speaking Caribbean Standard English and not some broken language. Samantha, yes, me educated, but when me a chat to my friend them, me not have to use Caribbean Standard English. After all, me not do interview. Brian, true, Samantha. Plus, me not speak a broken language. I am speaking on Creole English. Let's answer the corresponding questions. 16. When Brian accuses Paul of speaking hoity-toity in line 3, Brian is suggesting that Paul is using language. Is it to assert authority? No. Make social commentary? Not necessarily. And it's not so strong to discriminate against other. So I would say it's to show sophistication. 17. Which of the following factors would affect the dialectal variety used by the various speakers? Best answer here is social class. Which of the following speakers advocate using language as a form of identification? All speakers, they advocated using language as a form of identification. So the best answer here is Paul, Samantha, and Brian. 27. Which of the following expressions best explain the meaning of the term lingua franca? So here are the answers. A language which is derived from French and is used by African slave. Nope. Even though it's similar, careful. Any language which is native to African peoples who have been transplanted. Nope. C, a common language used in dialogue by persons with different native language. This is our winning answer here. 28, a Caribbean English Creole may be defined as a language. Recall, a Creole is a language formed when there's a contact between people who speak different languages. Here are the choices. A, with limited linguistic functions. Nope, that's out. B, used by the poorest people in society. That's definitely out. C, understood only by some persons in society. Well, that's true, but not necessarily the definition. D, developed from contact between European and African language. Now, this is your answer. It's not necessarily the definition, but it shows how the Creole is formed. 29, In which of the following expressions is the process of reduplication evident? Now, you see why you need to know all your characteristics of Creole? This specifically falls under the characteristics of Creole vocabulary. As the name suggests, you are doubling or reiterating the word or the phrase. Not stepsister. Stepsister is a normal word. I water, it's more of a calcul. A wagwan is just a Creole expression, but here's a reduplication. Chaka chaka house. Can you think of any other reduplications in Creole? What about Freddy Freddy? You chat too much, you chatty chatty. You foo-fooly? Right. 30. Which of the following are regarded as official languages of the Netherlandic territories of the Caribbean? What are the countries that make up the Netherlands Antilles? Come on, guys. You should remember this from grade 6 GSAT, social studies. So the answers here for the official languages of the Netherlandic territories is Dutch and Portuguese, 1 and 3. And the last section that we're going to review today is the communication section. Remember that part of the syllabus that we looked at on the various forms of communication, whether it be verbal or non-verbal, language registers, the communicative behaviors. Those are some things that I want you to revisit. All right, so this practice is taken from the 2020 paper. It says, a student council want to raise awareness about the topic of students' rights and responsibilities among the student population. The council decided that it was best to use a communication campaign to achieve its aim. It was decided that each day members of the council would speak to students who were lined up awaiting their lunch. Which presentation format would be most effective for the student council president to use in interacting with the students? And the answer choices here are impromptu, memorized, extemporaneous, and manuscript delivery. So the best answer here is a memorized presentation. That would be most effective. And then 35, in which of the following forms of communication is the communicator both the source and the destination of the message? So right here now, you need to revisit the various contexts of communication, whether it's small group, public, academic, intrapersonal, and interpersonal. So here it says the communicator is both the source and the destination of the message. Perfect answer here is intrapersonal. It involves one person. So that person is both the source and the destination of the message. So they're talking to themselves. Read the following scenario carefully and then answer items 36 to 37. Benjamin's friend has a habit of talking directly in his face and touching his hands when she speaks. He has decided to have a conversation with her about it, but find himself stuttering and hesitating in ways such as I mean, and you see, before he can share his discomfort with her on this delicate matter. The stuttering and forms of hesitation in Benjamin's speech serve mainly to: is it manage impressions, substitute for words, convey a contradiction, establish the relationship? I would say that these stutterings and forms of hesitation, they are conveying something. They're showing that he is nervous, right? So I would say that is nonverbal. So the answer here would be to substitute for words. And then 37, Benjamin is concerned about his friends. Here it says Benjamin's friends has a habit of talking directly in his face and touching his hand when she speaks. So this here is telling us that he is concerned about her proxemics. right? The space. She's talking directly in his face and touching his hands. So this is taken from the 2017 paper. Let's read the following extract and then answer items 23 to 28. Rufus had in him a passion, a kind of vexation that when he stand up before a crowd, he would get all tangled up in his words and his feelings. But Rufus don't have the education. They tell this story how one night at a meeting, Rufus was talking about the cost of living. People can't eat book in this country, Rufus say. People can't eat words. What the people need is bread. Bread. Rufus, you leave out the A, somebody from the crowd called out to him. And Rufus correct himself. Breada. They tell of another time. The reporter tell Rufus that Mr. Richardson suggests that they should put more buoys out in the sea to mark the area. Boys, Rufus say, big men does drown out there in the sea and he want to put boys. No, we couldn't vote for Rufus. Who we want in the council is a man that qualify. A man with education just like the people in Britain. Ivan could really talk. Rufus was all right. But after you listened to Ivan Morton, you had to put Rufus aside. 23. What purpose is language serving when it is used to judge one's level of education, as in the case with Rufus? And this here, since he's talking about education, it's referring to their social background. So 23 would be A. 24. Which of the following best shows why the narrator relates the stories about Rufus? So she did this. She showed about the instances where the people corrected him. So here the narrator is definitely showing us how Rufus is uneducated. 25. Which of the following sets of communicative behaviors is likely to be displayed by the people as they listen to Rufus speak? Lack of eye contact and loud cheers. Well, they would have a lack of eye contact, but definitely not loud cheers. B, loud cheers and thunderous applause. I think that would be for Ivan and not Rufus. Shaking heads and lack of eye contact, yes. Thunderous applause and shaking heads, no. So the answer here is shaking heads and lack of eye contact. 26. Which of the following attitudes may be inferred about the narrator based on his account of Rufus' behavior? So, based on all of these evidence here in the extract, I think that the narrator is highlighting these to show that he values education. He was unsympathetic towards Rufus. Which of the following Creole features is evident in the structure tangled up with his words and his feelings? So this is not repetition. This is not reduplication. So those two are out. It is an unmarked present tense. Which of the following words appropriately capture the crowd's attitude towards Rufus? So were they affectionate? I didn't get that. So right here and then we eliminate C and D. Were they dissatisfied? I think so. What about contempt? They weren't contempt. So the best answer here is A. And we're still on 2017, 39. A scenario here. So 3 persons are showing some cards as to why are they unemployable. So the first person says he's unemployable due to stupid personal stuff I put on my Facebook page. The lady says me too, and the next man says for me it was an embarrassing YouTube video. 39. Which of the following is the result of the inappropriate use of social media by the characters? So as you can see, all of them, they were unemployable due to what they placed on the media. So the result here, was it A, loss of family time? Definitely not, because we did not see any evidence for that. B, delayed response from employers. C, Damage to the character's reputation based on what they did on social media that made them unemployable. So the best answer here is damage to the character's reputation. 40 to 42, still on 2017. Read the following advertisement carefully, then answer items 40 to 42. This is a young lady holding a bottle that says, Slims keep fat away. Want to lose weight? Don't wait. Use Slims, no regrets. Results in 90 days. Slims a day, keep the fat away. Available at all pharmacies. And then the corresponding questions. Which of the following language techniques is not used in the advertisement? And here are the answer choices. Pun, sarcasm, repetition, and rhetorical questions. So I would say the best answer here is sarcasm. The main function of the first line of the advertisement is to A says capture the reader's attention. B, introduce the advertisement. C, help the reader to lose weight. And D, encourage the reader to So we're eliminating C and D. We're stuck with A and B, right? Both of them are functions of the first line, but the stronger one here is to capture the reader's attention. And 42, Slims a day keep fat away is an example of which of the following language techniques? This is not a simile because there's no comparison using as or like. This is not repetition. I don't see the words repeating. This is not a personification. This is more of a rhyme. All right, guys. So you have one day to do this. I wish you all the best. I know you're going to do well. Thanks for watching, and I hope you truly subscribe. Help us to reach 5K, please. Follow us, DOA Caribbean EDU.